Good day, good morrow, boys.
Hello.
This is
Good
Three Affairs
morning.
on podcast. I'm Josh, director, actor, video game extraordinaire, video gamer extraordinaire. I personally am not a video game.
Are you sure?
I, bro, we don't know.
we just truly don't know.
We could be in the Matrix. Who knows?
I like the Matrix better.
What's the Matrix?
The Matrix was a take on the Matrix about the farming industry. It was pretty awesome.
Is this a real thing?
Yeah, there's a character named Morpheus. There's a cow.
What are you talking about? Wait, it is real.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Can we watch this next time? It's only 4 minutes. It's amazing.
There's two of them. There's the Matrix 2. Don't worry.
The Matrix relaunched. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, no,
Wow.
dude, there's like 4 on their website.
Some real shit here, man. This is some real
I thought
shit.
you were just fucking like, I don't know what I thought you were doing. That's incredible.
I don't know what about my past would make you think that I was lying, but clearly that's a real thing.
I thought you were doing like an improv thing. I thought you were just goofing off, but this is like a real thing that exists. That's amazing. Anyway, I'm Caleb John
and
Cushing.
the rest of the boys.
Who are you?
I'm Brandon.
Cool.
And also Morpheus.
Wow. Yeah, you can be Morpheus. I don't mind.
That makes sense to me.
Can I be Mio? Is it Mio?
I think I want to say it's just Neo, but there's something. I feel like there's something.
They have to make it more fun than that.
It's a pig. It's definitely a pig.
I saw I saw the little. This is insane that this exists. I love this. I'm tracking.
Yeah, and it's
down.
they're like 5-minute clips on like the dangers of factory farming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure.
But they used to show it to us in school and used to be like, "This is fucking awesome."
Can I read the little thing on their website? Originally released in November 2003, The Matrix is an award-winning series of short animated movies about problems created by industrial agriculture. The movies are intended to educate viewers and motivate them to change our food system. So that makes sense that it was like in schools and shit.
And you know what? It did both educate and motivate me. So it's doing its job. Yeah.
Do you eat meat still?
Yes, I do.
Really didn't do a very good job.
I don't operate and run any factory farms anymore. So
that's true.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Because you were doing that before, I remember.
Yeah. That was my old job.
Right. And then you were like, you know what? I saw this little Flash cartoon that looked like it was made in 30 seconds. And it changed my views. That's kind of cool,
man,
though.
that was what'd you say, 2003? Think about how long ago that was.
Dude.
It must have taken them years.
I love what that means is that they waited for like the entire trilogy to come out before they like, let's commit to this.
So how's everybody doing? It's been a few days.
Definitely doing a lot better now that I know this exists.
That's good.
Doing all right. Just trying to stay motivated, trying to stay in shape, all that fun stuff. But we just got told here in Canada that we're being locked down for another 28 days.
Ugh,
So
that's awful.
at the very least, it's probably going to be more. But
Yeah.
you know,
Guess we'll have to check in 28 days later to find out.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Just I hope it doesn't go to 28 weeks.
8 weeks later.
you know what? I don't care. I'll take all of that. Does that mean I get to be Cillian Murphy? Because I'll take it.
Oh, what good point. I would rather, though, my favorite part of that movie is when Brendan Gleeson gets like the bird shit in his eye or whatever, and then he becomes like, have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
But it's not bird shit. It's like blood from the crow or something like that, or like something drops into his eye.
Yeah, but it's like the zoom down on, and he's like screaming and like looking up, and then it zooms into his eyeball, and then he just like, I don't know, I love it. It's so I like that. I like that movie a lot, but it's definitely like really dated now.
Definitely. I'm doing good. Like, so I was kind of excited about the new episode for Tiger King that came out on Sunday.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
But if you like, no, but like, I haven't watched it. I just looked at like what it was about, and it's just like interviews with the people, right? Like with
Josh, I straight up fell asleep during it.
Oh no!
Like, I remember watching it. Yeah,
it's know what the problem is? It's because they're doing all like Zoom interviews, and there's just something about that that's so boring.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just there's nothing happening. It's just all of them comfortable just talking about it. But every one of them is like, oh, he deserves to be in jail for 40 years and should die in jail. Like it's every one of them across the board. It's crazy.
I was listening back to like when we were talking about it on an earlier episode, and I just want to clarify: I do not condone any of the actions by any of these people. They're all horrible. They're all racist. They all deserve to be in jail. But I do like the show for like exposing this kind of like ugly side of people and all that shit. Yeah. But yeah, Carol Baskin murdered her husband. Everybody else is also terrible, and that's a bummer to hear. That like, I mean, I assumed, right? Like, it was definitely like, oh, the show's really popular. Let's like scramble quickly to get all these people, like, you know, for another thing. So
it was definitely a money grab, but I feel like, but there's also like, I hate this idea that, you know, like the Bravo shows and like Andy Cohen or whatever, and like let's like do a recap and bring the cast together and like talk about the season. Like that's essentially what it sounds like, right, Brandon?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So, it's a reunion episode.
No, thank you.
But the craziest is the one dude, like, you know, the guy with no teeth or whatever, that was his husband.
Yeah.
So he's like married and like he has a fiance now and a kid, and he looks completely different. He got new teeth and like isn't a meth head, and he looks completely different.
Is he cute?
Netflix checks be hitting different.
Yeah, he's like the glow up of 2020.
I love it. You love to see it.
Yeah, it's wild. Super impressive.
It's cool. I mean, they're good. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're all terrible again, but like, I don't know.
Well, Caleb, have you heard the newest conspiracy theory about all this?
Oh, please tell me.
All right, so this is my new favorite one. So there's pictures of like a younger Jeff Lowe or whatever the fuck his name is, and he looks a lot like Carol Baskin's ex-husband. So now
Stop it. No.
Yeah, and it's all a fake.
Sorry, Brandon.
Yes.
So Jeff Lowe is Carol Baskin's ex-husband. Is the theory?
Is the theory? Yeah.
I like it. I think that is like very fitting for what Tiger King is. Like, that actually makes sense.
Right? Could you imagine?
He just knocked out all his fucking teeth and like changed his appearance and went into hiding. I love it.
But yeah, that's the new prevailing theory, and I'm into it. I like it. It's fun.
I want it to be true, and I'm going to assume that it is true until proven otherwise.
I'm excited to talk a little Tom Hardy, though.
Ooh, me too.
Yeah.
Big fan of that movie.
Yeah, we should... oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I can get into it.
You guys want to just jump right in? I had... there was some other stuff, but we can just...
Well, what else you got? What you got?
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, not too much, I guess. Like... All right, so really quickly before we jump in, I just wanted to say the only thing that I can think of, because they put Splash on Disney Plus, that old movie, but what they did to prevent, like, because they're just like sanitizing everything and they don't want anything to be sexualized because mostly kids are on the service, so they like digitally extended Daryl Hannah's hair to cover her ass, and it looks so fucking funny. Have you guys seen that clip?
No. What do you mean? No. Why is her ass out?
Because, well, it's a beach movie, so she's in a bikini.
That's stupid.
Oh, but
I'm upset. Let her show her ass.
I totally agree, but you guys need to look at this clip because it's the funniest thing in the world.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Got a real Henry Cavill mustache situation going on?
Dude, I think it looks worse.
Really? Okay.
Well, because she's running, right? She's not like standing still. So it's just so obvious, and it's so like...
That's so funny.
All right, it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, but I think I have the like a little GIF of it right here that I can send you guys. Just making sure.
Yeah, and then let's go watch the entire movie right now.
Sure, that's a good idea. It's just funny because like they're so aggressive about like sanitizing everything and making like all allusions to like how the real world works, like. I don't know. It's just so weird. It's such a weird stance to take with like censoring all this stuff.
Whoa, that's just a picture of Tom Hanks, bro.
You gotta fucking click on it.
No, you have to, but don't click on it. Don't click on it now, because let's we're doing something here.
Trying
Watch
to give
it
you
afterwards
for my amazing reference into Splash.
Well,
which is a movie no one gives a shit about.
pretty crazy. I mean, I'm more interested in Splash now.
Right?
Yeah,
Preferably the uncut version.
I don't know if like
Oh,
what?
yes.
What'd you
A
say?
totally different thought.
What is it? Go on.
Have you guys been watching any stand-up specials as they've been rolling them out on Netflix recently?
No, not really.
Oh, so good. Tom Segura's new special, Bert Kreischer's new special, hilarious.
You know that Dalia released one too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple nights ago. It's supposed to be really, really good as well. Gotta watch
There was
that too.
and then before COVID happened, there was like the Pete Davidson one that was kind of like really divisive.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not like that. I like the stand-up comics that I like. I like a couple, but I'm not as into stand-up as you are for sure. But I did love when you had us all sit down and watch that Bert Kreischer one at at Marlin's. I was definitely like pissing myself laughing.
The machine.
He's funny.
He's
definitely like not the type of humor that I usually enjoy, but I think he's like a very like funny person.
He's very likable. He's just like a big goofball.
Despite kind of everything about him, I agree. Like, if
I
met him
that's
in real life,
thing, right?
Well, you know, I know that's what I'm saying. I feel like if I met him in real life, I would fucking hate him. But he's very good at like creating a personable stage persona and like presenting it in a likable way for sure.
Oh no, I feel like he's so likable in real life. I feel like he's just a big, hilarious goofball.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but we'll have to like get famous and meet him and find out for ourselves.
Yo, that's like goal number 1 through 6.
Wow.
Okay, what's goal number 7?
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Ooh, okay. Now we've got a mystery on our hands, folks.
Yeah. Goal number 7 is a mystery goal.
Oh boy. All right, Josh, do you want to introduce the movie you made us watch?
Yeah. So this episode we're gonna go 3M Affairs on Legend.
Legends!
Starring Tom Hardy.
And Tom Hardy.
And Emily Browning as the love interest.
Famous for the 2011 Zack Snyder masterpiece Sucker Punch.
Oh, that's who she is!
Yeah.
I could not figure it out for the life of me. Caleb, that just helped me so much.
Completely forgot that she existed as a human being until I saw her in this movie, and I was like, oh, yeah!
I thought she was fucking fantastic.
All right, before we get into anything, please. I will like the reason I requested it or like I suggested it was because I was on Netflix and I've seen this I've seen advertising for this movie, but I'd never really seen it. You know, Tom Hardy's plays twin brothers in the 1960s in London. The Keane brothers, the Cray brothers, gangsters in London and stuff, like East Side. And it was just an interesting, I was like, oh, cool. Like, let me see how this goes, because Tom Hardy plays both brothers. So, What are your guys' general thoughts, opinions? I'll say, though, that for a movie that I just kind of saw on the list, and I was like, oh, I'd be interested in seeing that, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it also wasn't, the best, but, it was a cool little, 2-hour flick that I was like, okay, cool. I'm glad, there's some good things, some bad things, but that's my general.
I feel about the same. I had a lot of it's a movie that I just haven't watched, ever as it's been out. And the same thing for you. It's always there and I'm always like, maybe I'll watch it. And then even when we were going to go watch it, it was like, all right, I've heard some not great things about this movie. Nobody's ranted and raved about it. And then I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And then it just kind of ends and you're like, okay, cool. And that, you know what I mean? You're just like, all right. I guess that was more of a glimpse of their lives. It seemed like a very odd ending. In my opinion.
I was expecting you to like it more, Brandon, because it's made by your boy, Brian Helgeland.
What does he do?
He directed A Knight's Tale.
Oh, no way, really?
He likes it so much better now.
Yeah,
I mean, no, I liked the movie. The only part of the movie I didn't like was the ending. And it just seemed like they wrapped it up super quick. That's all. Yeah, I enjoyed the movie.
I didn't think it was good, really, at all. I didn't like it. I was
I
upset
didn't think
that
you
I had
would.
to watch it. Well, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited that we don't necessarily agree because I think it makes for better discussions than when we
Yeah.
all just like go around talking about how great The Godfather is for an hour. Even though
And
I
then
like
one of
that
us decides
conversation.
to shit on Frank Coppola for half an hour. That's you, Caleb. It was you.
It also like wasn't a half hour, and also I didn't shit
You're
on
right.
him.
It was more of a tight It was a tight 45.
It was a tight 45. I gotta get you gotta get your hour ready
Tight
for
40.
Comedy Central and leave room for commercials.
Exactly. Solid stage work going on.
AMC dramas are 42 minutes and 30 seconds exactly, and I'm ready. No, I honestly, like, it wasn't what I was expecting at all, and maybe if I were to like watch it again with like more accurate expectations, I would feel differently. But I feel like when this movie was like being advertised a few years ago when it came out, it was billed as like a drama, and then
Mhm.
it was like in the first like half hour to like 45 minutes, it was like trying to be this like comedy, and then it was just really tonally inconsistent. And I feel like there's this misconception that like a good performance makes a good movie, and I just don't agree with that at all. And I feel like as entertaining as Tom Hardy is to watch, like, it just like his performance like wasn't supported by anything else
Yeah.
in the movie. Like, I found the script to be really bad, and like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, even with other, it's funny because he is like the other main actor with himself. Like, he's supporting himself through this entire movie.
Yeah, which I also didn't think his like, you know, I feel like when you're talking about like dual performances, like now that we've seen stuff like Army Hammer in The Social Network, or even like Lupita Nyong'o and Us from last year, like just the fact that you're doing it isn't enough. Like, I feel like you have to like really do a good job, and I feel like his Reggie was great. Like, I loved him as Reggie, but I felt like Ron was a little too much of a cartoon character.
Yeah.
Which one's which?
Reggie was like the suave,
the normal guy, and then Ron is like the crazy guy. And I felt like he was a little too cartoonish for me.
His Reggie,
yeah.
I was watching that. I was like, "How are you not James Bond?"
Oh,
like,
interesting.
How are you clearly not the next James Bond after Daniel Craig? Like,
because James Bond isn't a fucking Cockney.
He's not a Cockney. That's an accent he's doing, not the point.
I don't know.
I like to point out that we probably shouldn't say Cockney. Like, people who speak with the Cockney accent are people. Or English people.
British people who are upset by this, we apologize. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Them to have any rights.
We clearly don't know what the hell we're talking about.
No, so. Like, Caleb, I agree with you actually, because like I think it was like an interesting experiment in terms of like playing the two lead characters and having those scenes with yourself. But I do think, because I really enjoyed Us. And
Us was good
because the subtlety of the R World adaptation, like the Underworld or whatever the flip side was.
By the way, spoilers for Us, I guess.
Oh Jesus, sorry. If you guys haven't seen Us, please go see it.
Yeah, it's really good.
But it was a more subtle kind of a thing, right? Like Tom Hardy had to put like dentures in, and he had this like weird,
I don't know.
It was like I think they tried too hard to make Ron. Maybe he was that kind of a caricature. I don't know. I don't know the history of these brothers, but I thought like my first note with for this movie was smolder ! Because like Tom Hardy sitting there as the Reggie, sitting on against the car, taking this girl out to dinner or whatever. I'm just like, dude, that guy's like oozing sex and like swagger and like, you know what I mean? But that's just me.
I actually think you hit on it though, Josh. Like, I definitely agree that Tom Hardy's very swag. I see what you mean, Brandon. I was just joking, but like, I think he'd make an interesting James Bond. But I think, Josh, when you say you were like made your offhand comment about like not knowing the history of these brothers, that's a huge fucking problem after having just watched a biopic about them.
Yeah, it's like, that is the one thing. Like, we barely learned anything about what was going on. Like, nothing.
I totally.
I see where you're coming from for sure. I liked his performance. I really did. Like, I thought both characters were interesting. It's definitely tough where sometimes you're watching and you're like, this is clearly, I mean, you clearly had to film this twice. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't want to say that I like disliked. I mean, I like him as Reggie. I think he does a good job as like the main Cray brother, I guess. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I feel like I agree with Josh. Like they tried really hard, and I feel like I don't know if it's Tom Hardy's fault necessarily, but it came off like too like I was always conscious that it was the same actor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like with like Armie Hammer in The Social Network, like it's totally seamless and it feels totally real. And Lupita does a really good job in Us about distinguishing the two in a way that I think
with Armie Hammer, it helps that we had no idea who he was.
I mean, that's probably a good point too, but
like,
I don't know.
People watch that movie and were like, "Yo, those twins were great." You know what I mean? Thinking like Armie Hammer was a twin.
That's definitely a good point, but I also think that like I've seen Tom Hardy disappear into characters before, you know, in a way that he didn't. For sure,
Tom Hardy's one of the best actors in the world, no question. Like he's incredible.
Definitely one of the best. He's definitely one of the better actors working right now, I think.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a controversial statement at all when I said it.
Like,
Tom Hardy's amazing.
Fucking look at him in Peaky Blinders and how much of a better job he has as like becoming a character. You know, who is like,
but don't you think? But don't you think that comes from working on something like this, right? Like
now I can see first.
Was it really?
It started in 2013, bro. He filmed
that
with which was funny because the other guy from Peaky Blinders is in this movie.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I kept noticing him the entire time.
He's always great. I like Paulie Anderson.
Dude, I'm such a fan of that guy. Awesome. He plays Arthur in Peaky Blinders. He's fantastic.
Yeah. He's good and he has a little part in The Revenant as well with Tom Hardy again.
Well, so apparently, sidetrack here, but the kid who plays the other brother, John, I want to say either Joe Cole or Finn Cole. I can't remember.
Joe Cole plays John.
Yeah. So I was reading an interview with him about why he left the show and stuff, and he's got a new show coming out that's another like gangster show, but in modern London for HBO, and it's supposed to be incredible. But he was saying like he left because it was Cillian Murphy's show, and he felt that like his character never got out of the gates, which I find super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree that his character was like. I mean, it is Cillian Murphy's the lead for sure.
Yeah,
like of course. But I think I don't know. If I was like an actor trying to like get my career to the next level, I might feel similarly. But I don't think that his character was done like poorly. I think they did a good job by John for sure. But I agree that
I thought it was a great character. And think about it. You've done 4 seasons of the show. It's a massive hit. Now your brother in real life is like, you've gotten on the show and is one of the main characters and is probably the character that's the most interesting. So it makes sense for him to leave now, you know?
I totally see that too. You still got to watch him in that fight movie too, the prison fight movie.
I know. It's supposed to be great. It's supposed to be awesome. But apparently this new really show is fantastic.
Yeah, if it's on HBO, I'll check it out for sure.
But
how do we get here?
Talking about Peaky Blinders.
Oh, cool. So, all right. So Peaky Blinders, the thing I haven't seen.
We were talking about that. Tom Hardy plays an amazing character in Peaky Blinders. That's how we started talking about it.
But I think it's also a good segue for sure, because this film reminded me of lots of other things in like a not favorable comparison. Like I felt like this movie was trying to be a Scorsese movie sometimes. It was trying to be a Guy Ritchie movie sometimes. It was trying to be Peaky Blinders sometimes. And I just like, it never found its own identity, I didn't think.
Right. Well, because there were some good shots. Like for me, another note I made point was like when he first takes the girl on the date, you know, and they go into the club. That's one continuous shot from what I think of him sitting her down, going into the back, having the scene with the guy, punching the guy in the nose, and then going back to the table. And that whole club scene is one shot. And I thought, in terms of a shot, I was like, oh, that scene was really cool. Because I don't know if it was the TV that we were watching it on, but you could definitely tell the camera movements, right? 'Cause it's like HD or whatever. Like it was a really beautiful kind of like fluid motion of the camera. I thought it was cool, but then it's like, okay, are we being funny? Because now that one of the actors or one of the characters is gay, you know, one of the twins is gay. What?
Yeah,
like
how did you like that very sensitive portrayal of homosexuality?
I thought it was hilarious when he's like, you know, all of his like him not being kind of apologetic about it, you know, and just kind of just like, yeah, I like boys. You know,
but he was apologetic a little bit about it. I don't know how you felt, but like in the very beginning when he was like, I'm homosexual, but I'm a top. I'm a top. It's okay. Like it was really,
I'm a giver.
It was really weird. And that was Taron Egerton, which was so funny.
Yeah, like that's so. I didn't realize he was in the movie.
Yeah, I had no idea.
That's
I think
Teddy.
it must have been before Kingsman.
Yeah, he's the best. Even in that role, it was just like, you're so entertaining. You're so good.
And I loved, like, just real quick going into then the whole, like, all the almost like the little, like, subtle, like, lines, like, all right, down the hatch, Teddy. Do you like it down the hatch? And then there's like the whole like party orgy scene, you know, of him sitting there spanking the guy. And like there was something like one of the voiceovers was like, I wrote it down, London's bottom has found her top. Like I was like, why is there so many like gay references in this movie?
That's because the movie thinks it's like way like more clever than it is what I took away from it. Like I didn't like the narration aspect of it at all. And I think that's where a lot of those like corny lines came from, was the narration.
Yeah, because like I mean, and you're absolutely right, Caleb. Where it just kind of, it's like if it's gonna be a gangster movie, be a gangster movie. If it's gonna be a comedy, like a cheeky comedy, then be a cheeky comedy. If it's gonna be you know, it's like it really did have like very different kind of conflicting tones to it for sure. You know.
Yeah, and I think there's a way to like balance different tones. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like you have to stick to one thing. But I feel like this movie did not do a good job about finding the balance.
Yeah, not at all. Well, because like it's like I loved some of the subtlety in terms of like with the accent, like the Cockney and stuff, and just I kind of gave up after a while trying to figure out exactly what they were saying all the time, because I was just kind of enjoying like just that, you know, just being in that environment. But you know, it was cute. It was funny sometimes, like especially that, you know, the bar fight scene with like when he pours himself a Guinness. You know what I mean? Like it was clever. It was fun. It was like, you guys ever see the Guy Ritchie movie, like the King Arthur?
That's what I'm saying. It's like it felt like it was borrowed so much from Guy Ritchie and Martin Scorsese, and it bothered me because I can like I don't want to be distracted by your influences. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between like wearing your influences on your sleeve and then like stealing from better movies. Like that fucking like shot that you were talking about in the club is like, that's just like the Goodfellas thing, like in the restaurant. Like that's all it is. And like, Tom Hardy is like very like excellent.
I mean, I don't know that that's fair though. Every shot in every movie's been done before. You know what I mean?
But specifically like with like gangsters walking through like the club, like, you know what I mean? Like, I know what you mean, like, from a technical standpoint. I'm not saying that all, like, single take scenes are the same, but it's, like, thematically too similar for me to, like, ignore the comparison.
I understand what you're saying, but that's, like, the same as me being, like, anytime you write anything, just comparing it to anything that's in the same genre, you know?
You should do that, because that's the only way people will improve. You know?
True. Well, yeah, definitely. There's ways to do it where it's not so, like, you know, it's kind of like nobody's ever going to do the Michael Bay like light flashes or light streaks, because that's Michael Bay's thing, right? So like
the J.J. Abrams lens flare,
right? Yeah, or like the shawarma scene. You know, there's shawarma scenes everywhere. You know, it's like the characters just sitting down, shooting the shit, being like normal-esque, like having like a conversation. You know,
you're saying that the Avengers invented shawarma?
No, I'm just talking about the style of scene. It's kind of like in The Mandalorian. Spoiler alert, Mandalorian. There's a scene between two stormtroopers just sitting there with Baby Yoda being like, so, what do you think? I don't know. Like, when does it... It's like, why do we need this scene? Why do we care? Anyway, small tangent.
That's because both of those people are super famous comedic actors. That's what was happening there.
Yeah, they were just like letting comedians improv, which I think is funny.
Yeah,
but I agree with
that's what that was though. But yeah. But just for that specific thing, it was like two pretty famous comedic actors who were just fucking around. Yeah, that's what it was.
It was like Poseidon, right?
John Farva,
and like somebody else.
So it was John Farva bringing in his buddies, like, hey, this would be like a really cool scene, like just for fun. Let's do it.
Wait, did you call him John Farva?
John Farva.
What?
Did you call him John?
He wrote
Farva?
it, right?
John Favreau.
Favreau wrote it. I don't know.
Whatever.
Whatever. John. These people's names. How would you like it if when you become a fucking theater director, somebody's like, have you seen the new Josh Steer or like Josh Starray?
I would be like, it's hard. I've had Steer, Stare, Star, Stir, whatever. Like it's my name is hard to pronounce.
No, it's not. I don't think it is. All right. Well, I guess
anyway. So that's okay. Cool. So, but yeah, there's like shots. There's like things that people like reuse. You know, recycle, reuse. You know.
It doesn't bother like everybody as much as it does for me. I mean, like Brandon, it clearly didn't bother you, but that's just my opinion.
I think, Caleb, the reason it maybe bothered you so much is because you had nothing else to kind of like, because it was so disjointed and it wasn't just like one thing. You kind of were just like, oh, it was like a little more obvious maybe to you. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think there wasn't a strong anchor for me to like. I think that was the problem, is that it didn't end up finding its own identity. Like, it didn't build on the blocks that it had. You know what I mean?
That I agree with completely. The movie just kind of ends after 2 hours and fucking 20 minutes. It just kind of ends. And then
just
you're like,
so,
all right.
like, weird. It's like, here's like the life story of the Cray twins, but it was just like a couple of months of them dicking around. And I didn't like, yeah. I feel like if I had like read the book, like, you know what I mean? I should never be like in a movie thinking like, oh, I need to read the book to understand what's going on.
Right.
Exactly.
I was waiting for the climax the whole entire time. Like, we have this villain that's brought out by Paul Bettany. And
he's so good. I wish
he's
that he was
so
in the movie
good.
more.
Oh,
he's
that trial scene, the trial scene with the guy hanging upside down.
How does that never come up again? You know what I'm saying? How is there not another trial scene at some point? It's just, he got arrested. Everything's fine. And we're moving forward.
How do they not like be confronted? How is that not like a confrontation between like Reggie and what was his character's name?
Ron.
What's that? Sorry.
Reggie and Ron.
Ron. No, not the other one. The other gangster lord guy
Richardson?
who was trying to find the character name. Yeah.
Are you talking about Paul Bettany? It's Charlie Richardson.
Paul Bettany. I'm trying to find it on the list here so I can click on it.
Telling you what it is. I don't know why you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Lots of missed opportunities, lots of wasted moments. And then like, I felt like it was like, it was a little long. It was like over 2 hours long, but like it felt like really long. Like it felt like it dragged after they got married.
Well, especially because they tried using the wife as like the through line, like narration and stuff like that, and like
I hated it. I hated it so much. At the end,
it's like why? Because I actually didn't really care that she killed herself. I was just in that whole line of like, people may think that you have to be alive to be telling this story, but
yeah, that was some bullshit.
Well, I was also like really surprised.
Fixes everything.
I was really surprised that. And I think this is a huge reason why I feel like the tone is important, because if you paused the movie after like a half hour and you told me, by the way, there's going to be like a rape scene in it, I would have been like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
It totally made it. It made me feel really slimy. Like, I know we were talking, and I don't mean to keep like bringing this up, but like when we were talking about Purple Rain and how like you watched Prince like slap, her a couple times. That's bad. But I feel like this movie and how they handled that sexual violence and then like the aftermath of it, I feel like that's like way worse and way more offensive.
For sure. But here's the difference, right? This is a movie about a random character or like people in the past. You're not sitting there watching it being like, damn, did Tom Hardy just rape that girl? You're watching it being like, did that character just do that? Purple Rain is a movie that was made to promote Prince. That's what doesn't make any sense about it.
I don't know if I agree, but I see what you're saying for sure.
That's my point. It's like if we were watching 8 Mile and all of a sudden Eminem is like raping people. You're like, well, this doesn't make any sense just from like a marketing standpoint. Like,
sure.
For Purple Rain, it's a movie made in the 80s. Like, I understand where it comes from, but that's what gets me is like, what the fuck were you guys thinking? This makes zero sense.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like in the 1980s, like, here's like the language we use to like talk about like... the difficulty of romantic relationships. But I feel like in 2015, when you're making a movie and then you have like a rape scene and then like it's billed as this like tragic thing about how like she kills herself and then he puts like the wedding ring on her finger. I think it's like so gross. I think it's way worse. But I agree that like I'm not condoning. I'm not saying that makes the Prince thing good because it's definitely, you're right.
No, but even bad. At least with this being an actual movie with a script, which I assume that Purple Rain did not have a script and they just decided to say whatever they wanted all the time.
You might be right.
with this being like an actual movie, at least there's like a place for that to fit in the story. I mean, it makes him a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And he's supposed to be. Because this isn't a movie that's promoting Tom Hardy's singing career. It's an actual movie. So it's like...
But like, I think you still have a like responsibility to handle certain subject matter in like a delicate and tasteful way, and they didn't. That's all I'm saying.
No, for sure.
Well,
For sure.
I also find it interesting that like the way they shot her being raped was just like that pan out down the hallway,
Yeah.
and it's like I literally just watched people get the shit beat out of them, shot in the head, you know, and like stuff like that. It's and like people being abusive. It's like I don't know. I think it would have been more effective if I actually saw, in my opinion, than just like the idea of like
I don't need to see that.
Yeah, I don't ever want to see that, you know?
Like there are certain films
yeah,
there are certain films that do portray it, and I think it's like important in terms of like thematics, or like you're making a statement by showing this. But I think in this movie it would have been like gratuitous and unnecessary.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like the ending, like what you said about just to kind of you could have cut it really early. Like who like after the whole twin fight in the fucking club, it's like
Yeah.
after that, what else do I need?
We get the one scene of him murdering the other guy, and then Ron being like, well, why'd you do that? And him being like, because I can't fucking kill you.
Can we all go around and do our
Which was-
best impressions, by the way?
No,
That was pretty
I'm
good,
terrible
Brandon.
impressions. No,
But
stop.
why'd you do that?
Bang out of order.
It was, I mean, yeah. Oh, you know what I did want to say? That fight scene in the bar. You guys
Which
know what
one?
I'm talking about? The first one, it's with the two of them, and they're like on the same team, where Ron
Josh
leaves
was
and then
talking
comes
about
back.
that. When
Yeah.
Josh was like, when they poured the Guinness, yeah.
What I did really enjoy, and I found myself watching this intently, was they had explained kind of both of their backgrounds, where we knew that Reggie was a boxer and Ron
Mhm.
was just a psycho.
Mhm.
And then while they're fighting, you know, knowing Tom Hardy and the type of actor he is and his physicality, I was like, all right, let's see what's going on here with the two different characters. And I was super impressed with that, with his like fighting skills, like his fighting choreography for both, for each different person. You know,
Yeah.
as Ron, he's just beating people with hammers, but Reggie, I mean, that dude must have spent a hell of a lot of time boxing, because he is just pumping out punches that look real as fuck. Like, he looks great doing it. It's a very,
Well,
like,
I mean, yeah. Tom
you know?
Hardy, I don't know if he used to necessarily be an amateur boxer or whatever, but I mean, he definitely like trained really hard for when he had to do Bronson like a few years before this.
Right.
And so I'm
Yeah,
sure
he
that
does
carries
his homework,
over
which
to
is
like
good.
a lot of, yeah.
again, for Kingdom, they train like animals too. Or sorry, not Kingdom, for Warrior.
Oh yeah, Warrior. Yeah. Kingdom's a different fucking shitty TV show. But,
Hey! I like that show.
the MMA show?
Yeah.
I was an extra on that.
Really? I enjoyed it.
yeah.
We talked about this.
Yeah, we did. We've discussed this before. But,
Yeah.
I
That's
love
good,
me
but then, like-
some Frank Grillo.
I know the exact fight that you were an extra for. That's how much we talked about this.
But I think what I want to call attention to is, if you guys have noticed, like all of like the stuff we're praising and all of like the good moments that we're talking about and you guys are bringing up, all was in the first 45 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like it just like there's a
True.
point where it just becomes too like repetitive and nothing interesting happens for like way too long, and then the tone goes to a weird place, and it just fucking doesn't have an ending. I understand the point, because like it was like then they all went to prison and then like the Cray shit was done or whatever. But I was just like, that's it? Like this is what your fucking like final moment is? Like, come on.
Yeah.
No, I agree. That was the most, like, you watch this whole thing and you expect an awesome ending, and it just isn't one. It's just like, all right,
Well,
we're
here's
done.
the thing. What's funny is that I didn't necessarily sit here going, "Oh, it's going to end so good, I can't wait," because I never really built up to anything. I was just kind of observing it, you know?
Yeah,
I know for sure.
Yeah.
Not only did it not have a good ending, but it had a bad middle as well. Like there was no build-up.
a moment that I actually found. Sorry, Brandon, you go.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say a moment that I did actually find really interesting that they never really went into was the scene after Ron went and killed one of the guys like in the head. Which off, by the way, that was actually like he gets shot in the head and he kind of smiles and like.
Oh,
back.
yeah.
That was pretty sick.
I
But
thought that was good.
when they were at their mom's house,
Mm-hmm.
and the mom was afraid to touch Ron because of how like she wasn't sure how he was going to react. Like I thought that was a really unique little moment of seeing her kind of fear with her twin sons, you know, and like I'm sure she knows their lifestyle and things like that. So that was kind of an interesting moment. I kind of liked it was different, you know.
Would have been cool if they explored it at all in the movie we watched.
Exactly.
It was
Like,
over 2 hours.
I would have liked to know like how did they grow up? Like when did they actually start becoming gangsters, and like how did they? I'm curious, you know, and like why does the mom just did they kill their father? I don't know. Like, what did Ron like blow up when he was like 10 years old, and now she's like terrified of him? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what's frustrating is there are lots of good ideas, but they are not executed well at all or developed, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like the other thing I wanted to point out too that I don't understand why it was so bad was that CGI face for the picture with the the police, the detective. There's a moment where the detective's in the club talking to Reggie, and he's like, what's your problem? Is that I started working for myself and you work for them, type of stuff.
Yeah.
And they were blackmailing him to get that photo of him in the club with the Ron and Reggie. And when Ron comes out to like kind of like turn him around to face the camera, it's a completely CGI'd face, and I don't understand. It must have been something with the shot because the whole movie they just kind of overlapped the two shots and they were acting together in the same scene facing outwards together as both Tom Hardys. And I don't understand why they couldn't do that with that shot, that quick like turn picture,
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily like paying close attention to to the CGI.
Well, it's like if you guys go back and go right, I was gonna write it down like the timestamp just so you can go see it because it is a weird like it actually took me like I was like whoa what the hell I had to like rewind it just to like watch it again because I'm like what the fuck even they did that shit for fucking Princess Leia in the new Star Wars movies like and it looked real as fuck. Why
looked like.
Why can't they do it?
Look bad.
Yeah.
Here.
I mean, I'll never watch this movie again, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm gonna find a clip of it. I'll just film the clip on TV and then I'll send it to you guys.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, you're gonna make you watch CGI hair, so you can watch a CGI face.
It's like but it's a fucking 9-second like GIF.
Well, this one's like a 4-second clip.
Yeah,
so you're
whatever.
fine.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Professor Remus Lupin. I thought he was he was like the best in this movie. I thought
I loved his confrontation with Ron. He was the banker,
okay.
like the fixer.
He was the banker. He was like
totally. Yeah,
remember when like
totally.
Reggie was like, I want 50,000 pounds to like go to Africa and build a center for children, or something, a city for children. And he's like, I can't do that. Where do you think? Like that scene I thought was really fun because he's like, fuck you, Ronald.
And in the first half of the movie.
Again.
There are no good scenes after they get married.
See, it feels like I would have enjoyed a movie about either one of the brothers more.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I enjoyed both the characters that he did, but like we're saying, nothing happened in this movie. Had we just done a movie with one of those characters that was like an actual story, I would have loved it.
I would argue with I would have enjoyed the two brothers, but I just like an extended period of time. Like it didn't really like do anything for me to like go for this time, So
yeah,
I would have loved to see kind of like them, like if you rewrote the story with like them becoming who they were. I think that would have been more interesting than them being at the top of who they are and then going to prison, coming out of prison, going to the insane ward, coming out of the insane ward.
I think that actually maybe it would have been better as like a mini series or something. It seems like maybe we needed a lot more. They tried to cram a lot in, and then I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'm sure you can make a good movie out of it, but I don't see how right now.
I mean, I think the basis for the characters, like having one gay, one straight, and like, I mean, these are real people, so like obviously, like I thought it was really interesting the idea that because of their status, like Ronald can be openly gay to a certain extent and like have these orgies.
But that was what was interesting actually is that in real life that's not the case at all. Like he was very closeted in real life, and they made that.
Oh, really?
They changed it for the movie. Yeah, that's what I was reading.
Oh, interesting.
Because he was a fucking gangster in like the 60s, so of course he was closeted. Yeah, I don't like it when they change shit like that. When like I know it's like a British movie, but it's still kind of like Hollywood in that system. I don't like it when they change shit like that just to make it more like digestible for like an audience or whatever. Like they changed all that shit in The Danish Girl. Like fuck that.
Right.
Tell the story if you're going to tell the story. Yeah. Did you guys like what's his fucking name? Chaz Palminteri.
Who?
The Italian guy.
American.
Who is
the American
that?
Guy.
Who is that? He's in everything.
Like, fucking everything. Yeah, he's like Usual Suspects. He's really good in. He was in A Bronx Tale, Bullets Over Broadway, Usual Suspects.
That's Bronx Tale is what I'm thinking of, though.
Yeah. Of course. I saw quick side note, I saw like the Broadway musical of it when he like was in it. Actually, he's just such an old man now. It's ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really, really bad. Like you can tell that he was getting like fed his lines and everything. I don't know.
That would be so. Yeah. Anyways,
you hate to see it. But you kind of. But so we've been talking now about kind of everything. But would you still say that you enjoyed it, Brandon, as a whole?
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I also went in with very low expectations for it.
Sure.
I it's a movie I actively hadn't seen since it came out. So I definitely enjoyed it more. I thought I was going to be super bored. I thought it was going to be super long. And just, Tom Hardy and, I cannot remember her name right now, but the girl who played the lead.
Molly Browning.
Yeah, that was enough for me. Just, watching Tom Hardy do two different roles and her and all of that. I enjoyed it.
Interesting. Yeah, I really I didn't think that she did a bad job necessarily, but I hated the narration aspect too much to like.
Yes! Like, for sure, don't ever do that. Don't have your narrator talking the whole time, then have her just be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm dead.
That was dumb for sure, but also just like what the lines that they gave her to read were so. What I think what happened was that like that wasn't a part of the rough cut, and then the studio or whatever was like, you need to have like something that like bridges this gap, and it was like so dumb because it didn't feel organic to the film at all.
No, it didn't. It felt like the 2015 equivalent of, and then he woke up and it was all a dream. It was just like, okay, so what happened? You wrote yourself into a corner? Like, what are we doing?
That exactly, yeah. And I know this is like based off of fucking like real life or whatever, but yeah, it felt too like traditionally like structured to have it all be like organic or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way in terms of kind of what Brandon was saying, that like I literally just picked this movie because I was intrigued enough by the premise of it and like Tom Hardy playing the two different characters. But like I definitely need to be better at like going through the movies and stuff and like creating a list of movies that are like actually interesting.
Yeah.
Or that are fruitful in terms of the conversation that we're starting to have about these films. But you can't just like throw a rock and like say, oh, what about this movie? Because my interests obviously differ than your guys' interests, but like I also need to like structure it in a way that is actually productive. But I thought it was I could literally watch Tom Hardy smolder like for an hour. You know what I mean? Like I could have like that opening scene when he like with the lemon sherbet and stuff. I thought that was like, dude, this guy is so cool.
But that's the thing. I'm a huge Tom Hardy fan. And I haven't seen him do anything like that in a while. He's always playing like these crazy, crazy characters. Or like very specific, very fully built characters. So just watching him play like a charming leading man, I was like, dude, how are you not making 5 of these movies a year where you're just like the leading man? But he obviously prefers to do crazy characters.
Yeah, well, he's also like short and broad. Like there's like a turtle. I think there's like a body type too that Hollywood casts as, the tall, muscular, whatever.
Short dude. He's not short at all.
I thought he's 5'8" or something.
Wow, what a fucking midget.
Wow, Caleb, I'm so sorry, Caleb.
I read an interview with him where he was trying to, he was getting, he's obviously went to Lambda or RADA, I can't remember which one, but he was like getting into acting, done some big stuff already. But then for Bronson, obviously he got crazy big, like way bigger than he should have been. And that kind of like rough and tumble looking that way got him all of the other roles. Obviously that and being an absolute fucking phenomenal actor, but like that look helped him
but I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean he's 5'9", so he's definitely like not as big as like somebody. He definitely appears bigger than he is, but I wouldn't say that he's small.
He's super bulky. Like for Warrior, there's an interview with him talking about how like he could barely like walk across the ring by the end of the day because he was so big and like so muscular that his body was not built for an endurance. Like it was all for, show. Like,
well, that's why when, Vegeta and Trunks were fighting Cell for the first time, they couldn't win because they were too bulky. Dude.
That is exactly what it was like. Trunks going Super Saiyan 2, but being too bulky. And then
for Cell, yeah. And Cell was like, I am faster.
I literally watched, because they had the first 7 episodes of the Cell Saga on Toonami last Saturday.
Nice.
And I only watched like 5 or 6 of them because like I forget how much talking in these episodes were
half of that show is
nothing. Well, it's not
You
just that.
guys
It's
should
like
you guys should watch the recut. Dragon Ball Kai is so much better because they cut all that shit out and it's just action and like
no, but that's what this like reruns were Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Right.
it was
Okay.
still
even-
and it was
even-
still too slow for you.
Well, for me, it's like 20 minutes go by, and I'm like, literally, it was just Vegeta taunting Cell. You know what I mean? Or like Krillin deciding whether or not he's going to blow up Android 18. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
like shit. Come on, like
Never
what?
did. He needs that robot. You know what I mean? He's trying to
Oh,
get
girl, absolutely.
it.
Anyway,
I
so like,
18.
it's so funny that that's the reference. That's my analogy. You know,
It's a
that's
good analogy. It tracks.
it's a good. But yeah, but there's that thing too, as like an actor or like somebody who, like, you want to get these like roles, right? Like, let's say you have a character that you build for, that you like, you know, you go to the gym, nutrition, you like transform into this character. You know, the industry will cast you as they see you, right? And so, like, do you know, drag your feet and be like, well, no, it's not. I don't want to play the same character 5 movies in a row, or you're like, hey, let me work when I can
I
and play these
think-
5 characters, and then
I think
You know?
as we're learning now that that's more of an issue of luxury. Like right now, I'll do anything. Oh, okay, I'll take any role. I don't care. I just want to work. So I think that's only a thing, you know, hopefully down the line.
Yeah, but I would
True.
also say, like, even within like Tom Hardy's filmography, like he's managed to get in some really good stuff as well. Like
Damn, phenomenal.
he plays like
I
he
forgot
plays
he
like
was in Inception.
well
Mhm.
Inception, but then like, you know, he fucking Bane and like Mad Max and The Revenant and
Yeah.
like Dunkirk and all this shit. Like he's doing okay, like for sure.
He's the man.
I guess the second Venom movie is coming out in October, so I can't wait for that.
Oh god.
With
Oh,
Carnage.
yeah, it's gonna be
No.
great.
The only reason that it's taking so long is because Eminem has to make a new song.
Are you,
Dude,
are
Eminem's
you
pumped
tripping
out like
Eminem right now? Because
Dude,
No.
I know that you like him, but that Venom song is trash. You can't defend it. Come on.
you sir are trash.
it's not his best,
It can be both.
but I can listen to it more now than I did at the beginning. But Eminem's pumped out 2 albums in like the last year, so like I'm sure he can easily do a song for Venom too.
I
I think
was
there.
just trying to make a joke because the Venom song is
Yeah.
bad. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you're being funny.
Oh, I guess I was trying, but I forget that you guys like the horrible
I got you,
shit
Caleb.
more than I do. You guys like Venom more
Oh.
than me.
I loved Venom.
It was fun.
Fucking,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more of Woody Harrelson in the Ronald McDonald wig.
No, they lost it. I
What?
saw a picture. I saw a picture for the second one.
That would have the only thing
lost
that
the
I was
wig.
excited about was
Yeah.
the fucking terrible
No,
wig.
they lost it. They lost it.
Oh,
Apparently.
that's fucking
Wow.
too bad.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it looked atrocious. I mean, I understand. You know, I think it's so weird that it's going to be directed by Andy Serkis.
Oh, is it really? That's
It's
probably
like
going to
a-
make it awesome.
I mean, it might actually be good for sure, but I mean, who knows?
He's a great director.
I
didn't
mean, yeah,
realize-
but like it comes from this. If the script is bad, what can you do? You know?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it does kind of. It's funny how like we've with this, and then with like the Danish Girl, and with I don't know. Well, Purple Rain, we won't talk into that anymore. But for right now, but like
I don't think we'll ever escape it.
the script really is like the foundation. Like you have to have like a solid script for the actors to kind of build off of, right? If you look at Legend, the cast wasn't bad. You know, you had
This was great.
Vision, you had Lupin, you had, you know, Venom, you had what's her face? You know,
Sucker
you had
Punch.
you had Sucker Punch, you had Miss Baratheon as the mom, you know.
That wasn't her.
That was totally not their mom, the wife's mom, Francis's mom was Miss Baratheon. I looked it up because I was like, where do I know her from?
What do you mean, Miss Baratheon?
Mrs. Baratheon. I forget what her actual Game of Thrones name is.
I don't think that's right, but okay.
No, I'm gonna look it up right now. But anyway, so like it was a decent cast, and like obviously the director did Knight's Tale, but I kind of find it interesting. Tara Fitzgerald, who also was Celise Baratheon.
I was thinking about. I thought you meant Cersei, like because she was married to King Baratheon. But no, you meant Stannis' wife. Okay,
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
okay, no, that's
Right,
fair.
okay.
So you have
that
all
was
these,
my
you have all
mistake.
these cool, you have all these great actors, but like because the script and the direction the tone wasn't there. It's like, it falls short, you know. So
Yeah, not my favorite. We've talked about on the cast for sure, but it's also
Yeah.
I don't know, not the worst.
no, it was fine. Now that we can cross it off our Netflix list, I know we all had it on.
Thanks,
So-
Josh. Thank you for doing me that favor.
Yeah, it was nagging me.
Well, any final thoughts on Legend? You know.
Yeah, I really liked his performance as Reggie. Kind of going back to what you guys were saying before, is very well done, and he's very cool. And I'd like to see more of that version of Tom Hardy.
Totally.
I agree with you. I just wish that it was supported by a better movie, you know?
No, for sure. It just feels like and I mean this in the best way, he would rather work with the best people in the world and take the supporting role than, you know what I mean? He'd rather do Revenant than Mad Max, it feels like. Which I totally respect. But I'd like to see him more as the lead, because he's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying.
But he gives up the lead to guys like Leo all the time, because why the hell wouldn't you? Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, but his character in fucking
was
The Revenant is incredible.
Yeah, incredible. That's
Like,
not what I'm
it's like he was
saying.
skimping on the. But
Yeah,
I know what
he's
you mean.
not.
I know what you mean.
He's not getting shortchanged at all. He's making the best possible decisions I think you can make. I think it's very interesting, you know?
I mean, I totally agree with you. Josh, what would you rate this film?
I would give it. Trying to think of a clever. I'll give it 3.
Interesting.
3
Hey, bro.
hammers. I'm gonna say 3 hammers.
I'm gonna give it 3 fucking cranes out of 5.
I'm gonna give it 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, it seems fair.
Yeah.
It seems fair.
I really want to like it more than I do because of Tom Hardy, but there's just
Right.
so many like inherent issues with the
Yep.
filmmaking, and
Couldn't agree more. Story-wise, it's just a nightmare.
like the ending left a really sour taste in my mouth with like the sexual assault and everything. So
Yeah, and also just it not ending.
also just not having an ending.
and
Yeah,
we're done.
And here
Like,
are the facts. They
Yeah,
died
you
in
can't just
2000
cut a
and
movie.
1995.
Exactly. I hate that. When you just cut a movie off because you've run out of time and then you just put up, and then he spent the next 20 years in jail. And you're like, all right, well, I want to see some of that shit. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
okay, so it's still for the aggregate average, it's still higher rated than Purple Rain for us, which is still the lowest.
Funny.
Purple Rain, we need to, at least we need to, we gotta know the floor of this thing, right? At least Purple Rain, we know is the floor.
I so far can't get any worse.
Yeah.
We definitely need to like bring up Purple Rain every episode so we can title the season 3M Affairs on whatever and
On Purple Rain and some other shit.
We should make a Purple Rain remix as our intro song.
I am
Oh,
not
God.
opposed to that. I actually think that's great.
That's
All
pretty
right.
funny.
So Brandon, I think you're up
Yes.
tonight.
All right. I have chosen, and I think this will be a really good one. I've only heard amazing things. Caleb, let me know if you've seen it already. Have you watched Good Times?
Have seen Good Time, but
Oh, you have
down
seen
to,
it.
I'm down to watch it again for sure.
I have not seen Good Times. This is the one with
Pattinson.
Pattinson. Yeah, no, I have not seen Good
I,
Times.
I haven't seen it. Caleb, if you're down to watch it again, I've heard it's really good, and it's probably a good conversation piece, but you have a better idea than I do. What do you think?
No, I'm definitely down to watch it again. I think it's different than the kind of stuff we've been talking about in a good way. I caution you guys that it is very like the Safdie brothers have like a very distinct style, and it might be off-putting at first, but if you stick with it, it's really good.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely coming to it from a place of a lot of people have told me it's amazing.
I think you're going to really like it, Brandon.
Yeah. So,
What about me, Caleb? What do you think? How do you think I'm gonna
I
like
don't
it?
know. I mean, listen, I have no idea. You might like it. I think you're going to like certain aspects of it, but I can see you not enjoying it as much
Guys,
as Brandon does.
I'm gonna let you finish, but the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was the best movie of 2017.
Yo, remember when Marlon came into school and was like, yeah, you're going to win Academy Awards. Just so genuinely seriously. It was my favorite thing ever.
I
Brett,
love
like
Marlon
Academy
so
Awards,
much.
Brett. Like Pink Ranger, Brett?
Yeah.
Come on.
Academy Awards.
All right, boys. Until next time, thanks all for listening to 3M Affairs on Legend.
Peace from Brandon, Josh, and Caleb.